Welcome to the hbrv Lifestyle Podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things. Today is an exciting episode. I have 3 solutions. That's right, count them. Uno, dos, tres. 3 solutions for the RV factories / RV manufacturers to increase their quality. And one of them is not going to be very popular with those factories. But c'est la vie, I'm going to tell it anyway, because I tell it how it is, right? Forgive me, I'm sniffling some extra. I'm having a really bad allergy day, so apologize in advance for sniffling and slurring my words. Solution number 1, which is the easiest, but it just seems like people are lazy, and that is the purchasing departments of every manufacturer need to do a better job of finding components not built by Lippert or a company under the Lippert umbrella. Now, I have nothing against Lippert. I find it real easy when I was in service to deal with their warranty department. It was easier to deal with like slide warranties and stuff directly through Lippert than it was through the manufacturer sometimes. And vice versa, depending. But the reality is that Lippert doesn't have any competition for 2 reasons. Number 1, familiarity / laziness. I feel like the purchasing departments of all of these manufacturers are just flat out lazy. We'll just keep going to the well because it's easier. Like, oh yeah, but they're cheaper. We're going to trip over dollars to save pennies. Really? And at the end of the day, look at all these recalls that are occurring on wiring, etc., because it wasn't done right the first time, and you're not looking for components from other sources. Now, sometimes what I've been told, and this is the double-edged sword part, Lippert does a really good job in their warranty department. Okay? Yes, comparatively speaking to other warranties, Lippert is easiest in the RV industry. Not in the auto industry, not in other things, but in the RV industry, they're fairly easy to talk to. You can actually get a human being on the phone. That's really important. Like, I know this is a little off topic, but I used to be able to call Lippert directly and get a human being on the phone. Little harder to do with the RV manufacturers. Little harder to do with Ford or Chevy or GMC or Hyundai or Kia or any of these places. Little harder to do. So I think that's one of the reasons why that laziness is occurring, is because, they're easier to deal with and they do so much business they can make us a better deal than anyone else. But let's use a water pump as an example. Let's say it costs you $10 extra to buy a better water pump from another supplier. $10 more to buy a better water pump that may last longer than the one you buy from Lippert or one of Lippert's companies. Let's see, which one's going to save you money in the long run? The 10 extra bucks per unit or being cheap? Let me think. It's just common sense, right? I mean, if you think about it, that's a common sense thing. Frames. Look, Lippert makes the super majority of frames for everything in the RV industry. Get another supplier. I'll give you an example. My former employer, which is the Viking RV, which is under the Coachman umbrella, uses NXG. They're not even affiliated with Lippert that I'm aware of, last time I checked. One of the reasons why my former general manager, liked that frame was because it was huck bolted, it was huck fastened. And he had less problems with it than he had with other frames. Okay. So again, but if you look at the Clipper and the Viking travel trailers, they're more money than, let's say, the Coleman's. So you have to have salespeople explain why a 17B Clipper is more money, or sorry, a 17 CBH Clipper is more money than a 17B Coleman. Why is it $1,500 more? Well, we spend more money on the frame. Okay. But see, the interesting part is, and this is where the RV community needs to come into play. Stop griping about the price when they put better components on. One of the things I would run into at shows, pardon me, is, well, the Coleman's less money. Well, of course the Coleman's less money. It's less of a unit. They use a cheap frame, cheap materials to build it. That's why it's a market share coach. Yeah, but it's still $1,500 less or $2,000 less depending on freight. So you want an RV manufacturer to put a better frame together, but you're not willing to pay for it? Pardon me. So at the same time they go and find these components, you have to be willing to spend more money. You can't complain when a travel trailer is $2,000 more to have a better frame on it. I mean, am I wrong? If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments section. Okay, if that's totally out of bounds, if you rather just have cheap trailers with cheap components and not spend a little bit more money for a better quality frame, let me know. Then I'll stop complaining here on the internet, right? Because then I have nothing to complain about. Solution number 2, which is the most unpopular solution on this list. Let me give you some context first. I know everybody loves my context, right? Here's the context. The RV factories in Indiana, Iowa, Idaho, Oregon, where the plants are, there's not a lot of people. There's not a big talent pool of workers. Okay? If you've ever been to South Bend, Indiana, it's a small little city where Notre Dame University is. It is a small little city. It's got a small little tiny little airport. That whole area is very small. Goshen, Middlebury, Elkhart, even with all the Amish that live up in that area, it's still a small population. And if you've been there in the summer and in the winter, you would understand why not a lot of people live out there. Okay? Long story. If you've lived in Indiana, northern Indiana, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Okay, moving on. Not a bad place to live, just the seasons. You have 2 really good seasons and 2 really oh my god seasons of the year. Okay. Moving forward. So every manufacturer has had problems with turnover. Worker will go to Jayco, then goes to Grand Design, then goes to Coachman because somebody increased their hourly rate by 25 cents or 30 cents or 50 cents an hour. And so it's just this big loop. So I have a solution for that. The same solution the auto industry has, which is unionize. They need to form a RV workers union. That's going to be super unpopular. The factories, I'm going to get phone calls on saying this. But that's the reality. And you're going to get mad because, well, yeah, it's going to cost you more money over the long run. But the turnover will be less. That's the difference. The turnover, when you have less turnover, when you have somebody that's making and building the same unit, same philosophy for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, the quality gets better. But when you have an employee that jumps ship every 4 to 6 months to wherever the more money is, the quality goes down because now you have to retrain a new person. Pardon me. So if the entire industry created their own union for these factory workers, the turnover would be less, far less, because now everybody's going to be at a competitive wage with good benefits. Working conditions are going to be different. Will it be perfect? Will the industry turn to perfection overnight? No, but the quality of the build will get better. So between components that are not Lippert to keep Lippert competitive and use better components, better parts, better stuff, on top of having union labor, your quality all of a sudden is going to go up. Now, is it going to be, Mercedes type of stuff? No. Is it going to be like high-line luxury cars? No. There's still going to be earthquakes on wheels. There's still going to be small little problems here and there. There's going to be a break-in period. That's not going to change. No matter how much Liz Amazing or people like Liz Amazing want things to somehow be built like a Porsche or like a air ride suspension Mercedes, whatever the hell that thing's called, it'll never happen. But it also, just like the sunshine and rainbows people, it'll never be perfect. But it'll be better than what it is today. And the third solution, and the best solution on top of everything, is get rid of, watch this, get rid of the middleman managers. Okay. What I mean by that is, this is going to make some people mad, but instead of having 3 guys go out to the Tampa Bay show, have one guy that's a trainer go out and do it. And then have a salesperson help with the customers. Stop sending these guys that are alcoholics out to the dealerships to train their guys. There's a specific guy. I'm going to tell you guys a story. Maybe this will help you understand what I'm talking about, because I guess the more I'm hearing myself, the more I don't make sense. There's a guy, he's a rep for a travel trailer brand. Comes out to Southern Nevada, Vegas, to come see me and come train my people. Shows up to the dealership in a limousine, gets out of the limo, comes and talks to me, and all he wants to do is yak about me helping force orders into the system so that way he can get a paycheck. He's jonesing because he went to Vegas, he gambled a lot of money, drank a lot of alcohol. This is a pattern in the industry. Not every sales rep is like that, but this is a pattern in the industry on the factory side for the sales guys. They don't know their product. They don't know their competitor's product. There's some really good ones. I know of, let's see, 20 reps off the top of my head that aren't like that. But there's a lot of these kids, they made a bunch of money during COVID and they became road drinkers. They hop on a plane, they drink alcohol. They go and get an Uber to the hotel, they drink alcohol. They go get the they ignore the sales guys in the training part of the gig, and they go straight to the owner to try to kiss his butt to get more orders so they can get a paycheck. And what do? They take the owner out drinking. And that behavior is a problem, because now you're saying the wrong things and teaching the wrong things to the RV community. This is one reason why I do appreciate Liz Amazing. May not agree with her, but this is one reason why I do appreciate her and people like her, is because they do expose the Armageddon problems that do occur. Now, they do it in a fashion that is like all the political news, like negative, 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 no context involved. But when she talks, she has more education in this industry than the guys that sell them to the dealerships. So what ends up happening? A rep goes out, does whatever it takes, says whatever he has to sell a unit, so that way he can get an order from a dealer. AKA why a lot of units that they say you can live in shouldn't be lived in. Like, there are certain fifth wheel brands I would not sell to somebody that wants to full time. Now, I'm not talking about going across the country for a month at a time or 2 months at a time. I'm talking about living in it 365 days a year. When it comes to grand design, I wouldn't put them in a Solitude or a Reflection. I wouldn't put them in a Rockwood or Flagstaff fifth wheel in a Forest River. I really wouldn't put them in a Cougar, even though I live in a Cougar. But I have experience with stuff in the RV industry, so I can make it work on a Cougar. Would I put them in a Palomino Columbus? Probably not. Would I put them in a Jayco Pinnacle? Probably not. What would I put them in? Something with a big old frame and a big old chassis. Riverstone fifth wheels, mobile suites, DRV stuff, some Arctic Fox stuff. Man, I mean, I can go on and on and on. Toy haulers, like big, beefy, bulky fifth wheel toy haulers. Bigger frames, beefier axles, more amenities. May not be the creature comforts of a front living room fifth wheel, but say la vie on that, right? Maybe put them in a motorhome. So there's just certain... You have to make a pitch and presentation that makes sense to people. Well, we want to get into a Grand Design Solitude because our friend lives in one and they said they're doing good. Okay, fine. But let me give you all the reasons why you got to understand you have to, it's not built to be a full-time unit because a lot of rough roads going across the United States. If you've been down I-40, you know what I'm talking about. It's really rough, really terrible roads. Okay, these are not built to be lived in like a house. They're meant to be campers and recreational vehicles, especially at the Solitude, the Reflection, the Flagstaff, Rockwood, etc., 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 right? Are there people that are successful living in their fifth wheel, like a Jayco Pinnacle or like a Keystone Cougar? Absolutely. Are there people that are successful with a Solitude and a Reflection? Absolutely. But stop telling people that every one of them is made to be lived in. And that's one of the things that sales reps from the factory need to like hit the reverse gear and stop telling people things that are bullshit. Right? So cut that cancer out. That's the third solution. You got to cut the cancer out that's on the sales team from the factories. If you can do that, and you can unionize the labor, and you can get better components from other sources besides Lippert, you're going to come out with a better product. Automatically. Without making many changes to what you're already doing, you're just going to get a better quality build. And then you're going to sell your product to the right customer so you stay off Liz Amazing's channel. Right? You don't want to end up on her channel. You really don't want to end up on my channel. Right? You want to be off that list. And the easiest way to be off that list is to have a better build. So until next time, toolkit and sense of humor.